Hello, this is the Damson, and today I am going to paint some leaves with watercolor. But before we start, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and if you like this video, give us some thumbs up. Thanks. So here is one of the really cool leaves that I found, and the pattern was so interesting, so I was going to use that as an inspiration. And the rest are just normal leaves that you can find on your walk, which I did. And I'm just picking different shapes, leaves and colors and all that. And I am sure the colors that I will change dramatically from the original. So I'm gonna just use them as inspiration. But the rest will be left to my artistic mind. So I'm gonna improvise with colors especially. So kind of pre-planning a little bit my canvas. I'm using like a scrap piece of paper, and my canvas size that I blocked out for this is 5 by 7 inches. And I'm just placing it slightly to the one side so I can use this for a card or something like this. Picking from different leaves, different shapes. So I have little seeds here. Most of the leaves are either thicker or skinnier, but they're almost the same shape, except the little vine on the top. But if you break it down, you're gonna see that the center one is almost like a normal leaf, and you just have kind of like 2 hooks on the side. So I am transferring my sketch to my canvas, and I am changing a few things. I'm eliminating one of the leaves from the vine. I thought that one is better than few, because then that will really stand out versus having more. So the rest is just filling in the space with whatever I have and repositioning it slightly, because I kind of have idea of how it's gonna look if I have it this way, my first sketch, and I'm kind of thinking it's going to look better if it's a little bit slightly moved to the side, or the angle is changed and things like that. I'm adding an extra filler here, and it is just flowers that have not opened yet, so they look like a tiny little circles. This is exactly what I'm doing, tiny little circles. So I'm using a gum eraser, and that really helps because you don't really have to rub the eraser on your paper, but you can make it into like a roller, and you push it down and roll it on the paper, and it picks up enough from your graphite that will leave a little bit behind, but removes enough not to be taking over the watercolor. So it's time for mixing some paint, and I always mix my greens with a little bit different color. Sometimes I use 2 greens, sometimes I use blue in my green, and you can use all different blues. So have a little piece of paper on the side, kind of to experiment on your color. Sometimes I put yellow in my greens, and sometimes I can just add tiny bit of purple in my greens. So experiment and see what happens. This leaf, it's gonna be almost like a zebra leaf, so that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm making it look like a zebra. So the first layer was dry on wet, which means that the surface, the canvas is dry, and the wet thing is only the paint, the brush. And now, since that's slightly wet, when I add color to it, the edges become a little softer, but it's not really wet, it's damp versus wet. So it's still a lot more control on that. And now I'm adding a little bit of green that has yellow in it, so I'm giving it more of a greenish leaf, just adding another color. I like to add more colors than just one. And this one is green with a little bit of yellow in it, so it's very, very soft. And the brush that I'm using, it's number 6 round, but you can use any brush that you have available as long as it has a really nice tip. So I'm adding a little bit of red, and then with clean brush I'm kind of pushing it down, because when I push a round brush on that shape of a leaf, pretty much becomes the shape of the leaf. But I'm taking part of the paint away, the red paint away, but also it's adding a little bit of water, which will soften those edges and it will look really cool. This is one more of those interesting things. It looks like a burst of greens, but it's like seeds. So it's like a burst with tiny little dots on the ends. And like you see, some of the colors, green colors, the bluish green, and some of them are yellowish green. Just adding again a little bit of that red, and then with a clean brush I'm distributing and also softening the edge. And when I give a little bit more water in that area, that edge is gonna soften and it's going to start moving around, so it's gonna be a lot more transparent. So it's really, really nice. So play with that technique because it is fun. So this little flower is pretty much little circles, and I am just using blue and just making those little circles, and then I'm gonna emphasize on one side. So there's gonna be a tiny little bit of white left somewhere inside that circle. So these are the little bulbs of the flowers, future flowers. And of course the center, I'm going to try to give a few connections to those bulbs with green to make them look like they belong to something, not just floating. And this is the other little seeds, and pretty much you see absolutely the same thing what I did with the tiny little guys, but this one is with slightly bigger. And from this point I will just start adding little touches here and there. So I'm adding a little more color to the connection or ends, and just places where I feel like it's not strong enough, that it needs a little help. And pretty much this is it. So I will be ending this video. So if you like this video, please don't forget to give me thumbs up. Let me know how yours turned out, and don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you get notifications for the future videos that are coming out. So this is Yadamsin. I'll see you next week. Thanks. Bye.